The Black Fat Femme Podcast is a production of iHeartRadio and Dr. John Paul, LLC. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Black Fat Femme Podcast, where all the intersections of identity are celebrated. I'm one of your hosts, John, also known as Dr. John Paul, and happy holidays and endless pasta to those who celebrate. Wow. Okay, so I will say this real quick. I truly don't do too much on my girl Olive Garden, but she brought back her little garlic pasta sauce. And maybe I'm getting old, but that mess was like real salty. It wasn't all that great. Do you still write for Olive Garden like that?
I love me the Gardena Valise.
Okay.
I haven't been in a long time, but I do ride for them. But the garlic pasta sauce, I mean, I will say I do notice now as I age, because now I'm officially in that demographic.
You are in my you're in my neck of the woods
because
now.
I used to get away with being 20 to 29, and now like the other day on a survey, I was like,
yeah, girl, don't get you. You got to scroll a little bit longer.
I was like, no, not 30 to 35,
yeah,
bitch. I was like, oh no,
it's time.
And so I do realize that things do taste different. Like some things do taste different, and you notice it more. And so if it's getting salty, I mean, it probably is them just loading up that salt anyways. But also I think we become more sensitive to things. I mean, in some ways, I would say like maybe we become more sensitive to food that probably isn't the best for us,
right,
and we become more in tune with what might actually be good for us. But it makes me sad because I love the Guardian of Olives.
Yeah,
to have a salty sauce, I'm like, girl, why are we here?
Yeah, again. Productivity and capitalism, they're gonna do whatever they can to make sure that they pump out the most to get the least. But anyway, girls, talking about doing the most, happy birthday, and how are you?
Yo, I am doing good, fam. It's your illustrious mistress, Jordan or Joho. I mean, can I say mistress at 30? But yes, I can.
You can.
It's weird because I never have felt so reflective around, like I felt reflective anyways around birthdays, but like not so much so. Yeah. And I don't really put like a big I didn't put like a big emphasis on like most of my 20s for the birthday, just for fun. But this year I was like, oh my god, I'm really turning 30.
Yeah.
And it was just like a different experience and feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I think one, because like 30 just like holds so much, like in a weird way, like it kind of holds so much in like transition time for people, right? It's like a really real transition. Adulthood, you have that Saturn return. You have like, like the 30s is like 30s is when people start saying like the young kids no longer think you're young at 30. And so I'm like, so it's interesting, but I feel happy. I feel very privileged to. I think one thing I was telling a friend about 30 was that what I feel the most privileged about is my choices. My question is what will happen next. My question is what will I choose next, and the privilege of choice that I have at 30, or knowing that I have choice in this, feels really amazing. Like I'm not wondering, like what or how. I'm just like I'm not wondering like what above me will happen. I'm wondering just like what I will choose to happen. I think that's a huge joy. But all to say, John, I feel like I could come to you because I have always heard your hairline on television.
Why would she say that?
But can we talk about her, the woman? I know who the woman was, but her reaction.
That was Teresa. Teresa
her
Giudice from Real Housewives of New Jersey, and she was like, "Oh, okay. Yeah."
but her face looked like, okay.
But Teresa, so let's be real here. Teresa's not the brightest crayon in the box anyway. So no shade. Now let me be clear. Let's be clear. I am a huge Real Housewives. Like I've gotten into the franchise. My husband has dragged me into it, and Jersey is definitely number 2 on my list. I'm very much a Beverly Hills girl, and then it goes Jersey, and then it's Atlanta. For me, it used to be Atlanta, but Atlanta has fallen off. But I will say that in the scheme of things, I definitely love Teresa, and I love who Teresa is and what she has been. But yes, Teresa is definitely not the brightest crayon in the box.
But I mean, I also be like, okay, like what a weird thing to say. But her face to me also looked like "Okay, as you should." Like,
Right,
she was
you
like,
have to
"Okay, man."
respect me
She was
because I'm Teresa. That's the way
she was like, "Oh," she was like, "I
that's
know."
how she
She was
took
like, "I
it.
know my headline's great on television."
Yeah,
I was
she
like, "Go on."
but I just wanna know what I just
What
wanna
like,
know
what
what
prompted that?
right, like,
Like, what
what
was the
in her
context?
head said, "Let me say that I like this woman because I respect her
Right?
hairline." Like,
Right.
just New York be on a whole different plane, and I have no idea why, but it
I'm like, "But okay, but also, I do be watching shows sometimes, looking at people's hairlines on television." Like,
T.
I also like, I would never say what she said, like, I just never would never say that, but, like, I do watch people's hairlines on television, so I was like, "No, what New York, she's saying what we're all thinking."
Yeah,
Like,
literally, and that's what New York does. New York is usually the
I
person
lose.
who says everything that we're thinking. Did you if I don't know, did you watch season 1 of House of Villains?
Not yet, but I've wanted to for a long time,
Okay,
so
I would
I think
highly
this
recommend that you
might be, like,
do.
my winter watch is
Yeah,
gonna be
it
House
is
of Villains,
definitely
yeah.
something I recommend that you do, and I would say there's that scene, and I'm sure you've probably seen it, I'm sure everyone has seen it, but the moment between her and Omarosa for me is the stick out moment in that season, is that
Mm,
is the moment that you're gonna be watching for. All right, y'all. So we are going to kick off our segment like we always do with Miss Tisha Campbell here and giving her flowers and wanting to make sure that she knows that I'm
I'm
still
still
here.
here.
And for those who don't know, this segment is where we celebrate surviving this fruitful yet insane this week was this week was something else. But anyway, the one thing
Mm,
that it was National Coming Out Week, and while we weren't able to have our live show the way that we planned, and we are sorry for those who bought tickets and listened to the show,
mhm.
and we're really sad that our live show was not able to happen. It has not been canceled. I want to make sure I make that very clear. There are people who've been hitting me up and being like, "Oh my god, it was canceled." I'm like, "No, it wasn't canceled. It was postponed." There they are two different things. Canceled means it's not happening at all.
Yeah, there's a
Postpone means
plan
we are
for it to
changing
happen
the date.
in the
So
future,
letting folks know
so
that there's
don't
a
y'all
difference
worry.
between postpone and cancel. We have postponed our live show, but we didn't want to leave y'all without this conversation because obviously this week was coming out day, week, whatever y'all, however y'all celebrate it. And because you turned 30, Joho, damn, a bitch is getting old. I want to ask, how do you feel like coming out has changed the trajectory of your life? And I know for me, I will say this with my new book coming out. Y'all know I'm gonna plug this book whenever I get a chance, which you can
Rightfully
pre-order.
so.
It is now, and if you go into the description box, you can pre-order it there. Coming out really helped me liberate I'll say coming out really helped liberate me from the fear that I had in a different way. And I know we've talked about fear in so many different facets on the show, and we constantly kind of dive into fear in all those different ways. But what I will say is that if you really know me, you know how outspoken I am, and I definitely say what I need to say. But before I came out, I was always kind of like real, I would mince my words a lot. Folks would say stuff
Mm,
to me and I wouldn't respond. I was always worried that someone was kind of trying to clock me. And even just recently, it was interesting. I'll share this story and then and then I'll throw it to you, Joho. I used to have a fear of being around teenagers. I'll say that, like, teenagers used to always say really
mm.
mean things to me, specifically in my 20s and going into my early 30s. Um, and this week I was going to check my mail, and where I currently live, there are a lot of teenagers who live on this block. I don't know why, but they do. And I remember I was walking from the mailbox and I was walking back to my place, and I was worried that I was thinking to myself, there was the replay of history in my head of like, oh my God, what if they say something to me? And then there's the current me that was like, I wish a nigga would. Like, a very
Okay.
different, John and in my head. So I think for me, coming out and just being who I am and being so liberated and being so comfortable in who I am now, I think I have a different voice. And I think coming out helped me find my voice in a
Mm,
different way. And I mean, obviously, we wouldn't have the show if I didn't come out, right? Like, I wouldn't have been able to pitch this idea. I wouldn't have been able to say we're going to have
mhm.
build a whole show around being Black fat femmes and being queer and being proud of who we are. So yeah, that's really what it comes down to, right? Is coming out really helped me find my voice in a different way. But what about you, Love?
So I love what you say about coming out, giving you your voice because that's just like I resonate with that so much, and I've been out for almost half my life
Yeah.
now. And and I think being out gave me a lot of time to really understand who I am
Mm,
to myself and to
yeah.
others, and I really like really value that. I think it changed the trajectory of my life because before I came out, like I was always I was always like like nice. Like I was always nice. I was always really warm. I think I was really
Yeah.
vibrant. But I think coming out allow me to teach others how to treat me
I know
better.
that's right. Yes.
Like before I came out, right? Like when I was bullied a lot as a kid. I was bullied a lot for being queer as well
Mhm.
too. I think coming out gave me a stronger foundation to be like, you can come for me, girl, but like it ain't gonna change nothing about
I know
me.
that's right. Yes.
Or like, or and then, like I built up a resilience of like, girl, I've had everything under the sun said to me. Like I have had every queer slang you can think say to me, every fucking fat epithet, every like black thing, like every mix. Like I've been called everything under the sun when it comes to all my dandies, and and that shit has not broken me, girl, and it will not break me today. And so I think coming out has really gave me thick skin, and it's hard because I don't want to I don't want to be like I know that people feel like it's good to have thick skin, but I also don't feel like it needs to be a requirement,
Right.
right? Like
To survive.
I don't want
Yeah.
to have kids and be like you got to have thick skin to survive. But it's
No.
also sad because it is true.
Right. It's a
But
balance. It really is a balance.
it's about exactly
Mhm.
right. And so I think what's taught me as well is like there is a balance of having thick skin and not letting things bother you, and also not having so much thick skin that you that you then like lose yourself in that.
Mm.
And because I think I was taught to like I was taught to like to have a thick skin, depending on nobody else but yourself.
Mm.
You know, like and like those are things that are to me rooted in trauma, and
Right.
I want to be somebody who is like, yes, have a thick skin because the world will try to break you, but don't let the skin get too thick that you can't ask for help or be kind to others, or that you can't like be a good
Yeah.
person. So I think coming out also helped change that trajectory because it allowed me to know that there was more possibility around me, right? Like coming out
Mm.
let myself know how possible I am, and coming out let me know how possible people are around me as well too.
Mm.
And so I think coming out and you know right and obviously for people who struggle with coming out, who are like, I don't, you know, they are scared to, and like, you know, like it is courageous to come out, and it's also courageous to not come out if you are it's also courageous to protect yourself as well. But so I offer people maybe who are struggling is that is that you is that when you know when you but when you do so, you might recognize that there's more possibility around you and for you and yourself
Mhm.
and your life, and people that choose to love you fiercely through it all. Obviously, I would say don't come out if you don't feel safe. Like
Always
don't
that.
ha- don't harm yourself in
Mhm.
the process.
Yeah.
Um, but if you find those that you feel safe with,
Mhm.
you will find much more possibility in everything about you
Yeah.
in your life.
And
So yeah.
so one so actually there's more than 3 things that are on my mind, but what I will say is the first thing is, I love that there is a new and it's interesting 'cause again, I don't know where the conversation started. I don't know how it's moving, but I know that, I think it was the National Task Force. I saw them post something about, wanting to change coming out day into inviting in. So I've been doing kind of the both,
Mm.
and it's kind of like you can come out, but you also are inviting people into your life. So that's something that
Yeah.
I also want to encourage people. If you're listening and you are questioning and you're wanting, you're taking inspiration from us, or you're taking inspiration from other folks who are coming out. I know it's actually really cool because a friend of ours that we've known them for a while, and we never really just we kind of just was like, that's who they are. We just kind of accepted them, and we never really talked about their relationships, or we never asked them any questions about who they are per se, right? We just love them. They came out yesterday, and so it was really cool because I told Jonathan, I said, as much as they were coming out, they were inviting us in, and it they felt safe enough after
Mm,
years of
mhm,
being friends with us to finally say, yeah, I'm a part of the community. And it was really affirming to know that they felt safe enough to share that. And so I think that's something I really want to
mm,
encourage, that if you are going to come out or invite people into your life, please make sure that you know that these people are safe for you, and that they are safe with carrying your truth. That's really what it comes down to, is that
mhm,
that they are giving you a space to clearly love and hold on to your authenticity. The other thing I was going to say, which I thought was funny, was anytime someone says it's possible, I immediately go to Whitney Houston saying "Impossible for a plan."
Possible.
Yes,
The
I
player
am gonna
country bumpkin, dun, dun, dun,
yes,
dun,
yes,
dun, dun,
it's
man.
possible. And
Impossible.
yes, why you down there, girl? Why you down in the note? Why you so low? So I always think about that. And then the other thing is I just cannot stop laughing because of the picture behind you. If you are watching on YouTube, y'all, you know if you know the original of this and you know why, it's very funny. So again, going back to our Real Housewife girlies, if you know, you know. And if you don't, you don't. But
So,
anyway, with that being said, we have to take a quick break. And when we get back, we are going to get into an age old question that I have been asking for months. Is love truly blind? What a fucking mess. But Joe, but, sorry, but Chris, go ahead and cut that music.
okay, fam, we are back. And this week, John brought up something simple, but I somehow think it's going to lead us to somewhere deep because that's how we do it around
Mm-hmm.
here in these parts of the show. So I finished Love is Blind Mexico, which is interesting because like I've watched Love is Blind the first two seasons and then I was like, I'm over it. But the ones around the world, I'm like, oh, I'm fascinated by that stuff.
Yeah.
And John, I know you're on the latest season of Love is Blind 7. And I know you have a lot of thoughts as always about this show. So to kick off, I want to ask a simple question without giving too many spoilers away. But as Nick Lachey would say, do you think love is truly blind?
Oh, so I so I'm the one who threw this out because this season, it's hard because God, UK was so much better than this season. But this season is
Mm,
also good because it's such a train wreck, and I'm so used to American TV being a train wreck that I can't stop watching. So, since the
mm,
beginning of the franchise, I have been asking this question. And I don't know, for those of you who have never entertained watching Love is Blind, any of the franchises, or you live under a rock, basically, I'll explain it without really trying to give too much away. So, basically, what this show is, and this is what they do on all of the franchises, right? They put a whole bunch of men into a seclusion area. They do the same thing with, and they're both cisgender. So I want to make that clear too. It's they basically
it's
told
a
the
very cis
gays,
hetero
yeah, it's
show,
a
yeah.
very cis hetero show, and I think that's one of the reasons why my husband's like, "Why do you watch this?" And I'm like, well, I have a lot of queer friends who watch it, and then they're constantly like talking about it online, and it's hard for me. Like, I want to engage, so it's like I watch it. I pretty much hate watch it at this point. I hate watch it because I want to engage in the conversations that my friends are having, either on their podcast or when they're talking about it on social media. So I know it's terrible, but it is what it is. But anyway, they put these cis het folks into different spaces and places, and they basically put a wall between them. And between the two of them, right, as they're dating each other, as they're getting to know each other, and it's kind of like speed dating in a way. It's
Mm,
rapid fire. They're asking each other questions. They're getting into each other's personal lives, personal businesses. And I'll say this: sometimes the connections are very kinetic, and you can just tell that there are people like, so for instance, going back to Love is Blind UK, there were people that, like, when they were behind the walls, I was like, oh, when they get out the pods, they're going to be fantastic together. Like, I just knew based off of the way
mm,
that they had conversations, the way they entertained each other. I was like, yeah, they share a lot of, just I knew that they were going to be good together. But then there are the ones who get all bent out of shape over, falling for each other's voices, and niggas be crying and being sad. I can't believe, and I'm like, you don't know this person. Like, you're speed dating this person and you don't know them. And so in the end, the very cis heteronormative production of all of this, right, is we see a man get to propose to a woman behind a wall. Now, mind you, they're not proposing in person, they're proposing behind a wall. And the other person on the other side gets to choose whether they want to kind of, go on to glory with these people, and not go on to glory in terms of death, but like go on to glory in terms of a wedding. I know we use that as a euphemism for going to see God. So they basically go home. But the thing where I struggle, and this is where I struggle with the show, they send these people on a vacation for, like, I think 7 days. And then
mhm.
they just drop them back into their regular lives and go make it work. And I'm going, why wouldn't
Does the
you?
wonder
Why wouldn't the like? I don't understand why we don't send them off to get to know each other in the real world first, then do the wedding, and then give them the vacation. Because in the vacation, what you're doing is you're setting them up for failure. You're setting them up to fall apart before they even get to the wedding, because you don't really get to know each other on a vacation. You're still enamored by this idea
Yeah.
of this person. There's a lot that's backwards in the show. But anyway, keep in mind all of this happens in a matter of weeks. And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, can you truly get to know somebody in a matter of days/weeks to say enough? I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. So I guess for me, and it's also, I will say, I'll say this, and then I'm gonna throw it to you. It's hard for me to also watch this because I'm married and I've been married for a long time. So I'm wondering, like, as a single person, Joho, like, could you do this? Like, why or why? Like, what would
Absolutely not.
encourage you to do this if you could? If they were to say we're going to do a gay or a queer version of Love Is Blind, could you do it? And if so, why or why not?
Absolutely the fuck of not. I don't believe that I would do the show. I would do the show because I want the fame. Like
T.
I would do the show. I'm be honest. Like I would do the show because I'm like put my ass on TV,
Right.
bitch. I would be good. I'd be good TV. I would do all the things. But like, but I don't believe. I don't believe in this premise.
Yeah.
When I'll say like I think like the only reason why I would hate watch it is because like straight drama is interesting. Like straight drama is fun.
Right.
I love straight drama because the world exists to revolve around straights and that straights have it all together. Then I watch shit like this, I'm like the straights are not okay,
They're
and
not.
I love to watch the downfall. But I also don't want like these shows actually aren't my typical gig because I think like dating shows I don't actually don't love seeing mess, right? Like mess is funny in some ways, but like it gets when it gets too
It gets
produced, it becomes
old.
too much. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't watch Real Housewives because I can't relate to that mess. So like, why am I here? You know, I used to watch Love and Hip Hop. I stopped watching because it became too much. Like this became too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I loved Flavor of Love because of my first foray into like good reality TV, but also this is becoming too much. Like we are going bananas over over these people and like fighting each other. And so I think I'm not into
Bananas.
like the violence it creates in that
Mm-hmm.
way. Um, you know, like one thing I think about a lot is like one time they got only some when I say the one time they got to queerness in Love Is Blind is in the first season with that one
Baby was
dude
by,
who
yeah.
with
Mm-hmm.
and it was sad because like he flipped on her. He flipped on her and like I think her name was Diamond. I thought she was great. And like and all she said was, I wish you would have told me this beforehand. And he was like, well, why does that matter? Why
He was
why should I have
projecting.
to do this?
Yeah,
Like
he
right
projected.
right and like was was trying to call her homophobic and then came and then came for her hair and and I was like
God
I was like
damn. I
I was
didn't
like, he
watch
is
it, so
hurt.
I didn't I came in season three.
That hurt man was hurting people. I said, you need to calm down.
Yeah.
And it made me sad because I think
God
like
damn.
I don't think her ask was unfair, right? Like to your point, they are put in a honeymoon right after the thing, right? And so you
Mm-hmm.
think you know somebody, and then he waits to tell her this thing now, and like you and
Yeah.
she's already said yes to him, right? So in a way, like she feels kind of trapped, which like I think is fair. Like I think that everyone like it's everyone's agency like to disclose themselves and I do understand that, but I do think that if you're asking to marry you, like you need to disclose like yourself in that way when it comes because like he was intentionally hiding it from her.
Right, right.
And and I want to be clear, like it's different, like I want to be clear, like because I know this question comes up a lot for trans folks of like, oh, like
When do you
should I
disclose? Yeah.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
to me that's different because that that is your gender identity, that is who you present as. I don't like if I'd be curious if they ever did like a trans version of Love Is Blind. I'd be
Right.
very curious of how that works, right? Or if they have trans on the show and how they might care for them. But to me, right, like who you are is different than who you sleep with, and so I think, and you know, and so I think I understand her reasoning to say like I wish I had done this beforehand because like she might have questions of like I am falling in love with you. I want I want to make sure that I'm the one for you. Like I
Right.
and so yeah. I'll just say like that was interesting in season one. Season one I thought was fantastic
Hmm.
because it was just like wild drama. And I do wonder with these new seasons now, right? Like how much of this drama is actually manufactured? Like
Yeah.
at what point does the drag race effect take hold of
Well,
the
I
seasons?
definitely will say,
They produce
yeah,
it.
they do produce the hell out of this show. I will say, I feel like when we start to get to episodes 9 and 10, and that's where we are
Okay.
now. They've already released up to nine
Because I mean,
episodes. It's
it's 7
starting to get
seasons of a show in
produced.
4 years, which
Yeah.
is a lot. But
Hmm.
anyways, anyways, to your question, could I do this? I don't believe in this idea because like, well, and also like it's already flawed. Like you're bringing people who are conventionally attractive.
Yeah.
Like you're bringing people who are all conventionally quote unquote hot people. And so like right they're all thin. That like they all are like more muscular.
Hmm.
Like it's already a skewed system.
Yeah.
And so like no, like I don't think this is real. And you see with how many people end up breaking up, right?
Yeah.
You see with how many people at the and that's like at the altar, bitch. If you are going, if we're together, tell me before the altar. Do not come to the altar because if I'm at the altar, I'm committed. Do not come to the altar and then say I can't do this,
Yeah.
bitch. We have had weeks to decide, and you have said yes every step of the way, and then you know, ooh, if that and that happened to me, ooh, it'd be a wrap. I would go to jail because I'm like,
Yeah,
we've had weeks.
girl.
And I'm checking with you every day. Like, do you want to do this for sure still? And you say yes in the altar. You're like, I can't do this,
The way that
girl.
mama played. So
Looking a fool in front of my
season
family like
six
this?
season
No.
six was that for me. Season six, I will say, if you watched last season's America version, and I have to make this clear because there is a distinction between the way that the UK one went and then the way the UK one was also very popular. Actually, in my
Mhm.
opinion, I felt like UK was more popular than the last
People
season
were loving
six.
the UK
The
one.
UK was fantastic. It was absolutely
I've heard.
fantastic. The people were more mature, the people had better conversations, they had better chemistry. I just think that there was a certain way that, and I also have to say this too. I always worry how much American television has ruined us as people, and you can see it. You can it's very
Yeah,
There's a very clear distinction of how reality TV maybe works in the UK versus how it works in America. And so I engaged the UK version a lot differently than I do the going into any of their original American versions. But what I will say is, yes, you are very right about this idea of like, why are you waiting until the last minute to tell me important things or to
yeah.
tell me that you're having reservations? Yeah.
You know, I'm curious to ask you kind of the same question. Like, if you and Jonathan were on this show, do you think it would have been successful
No.
for y'all?
No, I there would have been too many questions that I don't know. No. I say no, not in a way of me saying like I don't think that when I met my partner I wasn't instantly attracted or I was connected to them. I just think that there's too many questions. There's too many. I personally feel like this show as a franchise, and it's not even just like I feel the same about UK. I haven't watched Mexico. I haven't really watched any of the other iterations, but I definitely will say I feel like a cough. So excuse me. No, so I will say this. You know, I feel like this show just across the board it sets people up for failure.
Yeah.
You can't build a fruitful relationship with somebody in only a month. There's no way. There's no way. I mean, I even think about like if I would have met you a month ago and said, "Hey, let's do a podcast together." Do I think that our chemistry would be no, like
Yeah.
what people get, and that's what people say that they love about this show is that they're getting two people who've known each other. We've known each other for almost what, going on eight,
Um,
9 years now.
yeah, like almost a decade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
known
yeah.
each other for almost a decade. So what you're getting is two people who have a friendship, a sisterhood, a kinship. And I tell people like when I started this show with you, and kind of going, I'll go back to Love Is Blind in a minute, but when I started this show with you, it was like we had already had foundation. We already knew each other. We already knew each other's quirks. We knew where each of us were going to stand. We knew that we balanced each other out. Like I say this, and I'm going to keep saying this. You are my yin to my yang when it comes to the show.
Mhm.
You very much are you're more level headed than I'll ever be, and you're kind, and that's the thing. Like you're just a genuinely beautiful, good soul. And so but it takes time to know that about somebody, right? And if you can
Mhm,
work with
mhm.
them every single week, and that's really what this is, right? When you're looking at Love is Blind, it's really like yeah, you're looking for love, but I don't think people look at it as like a job. And I
Yeah.
know that there's so much out there in the world of people saying like, "Oh, relationships shouldn't be work." No, they shouldn't. It shouldn't feel like you're going to work every day, but love is work, right?
Y
Go ahead.
Mhm. No, I was just saying, I should not say this because I have no idea if this person listens to my show or not. So I'm like, I'm being
Be ominous, but
this
go
is
ahead. Say what you gonna say.
this is like a little messy, but like a little vulnerable as well too. But there's this guy that I've been on a few dates with that on one of the dates, we're talking about vulnerability, and he had made a comment of how he could see himself falling for me, and
Mm,
I am like, I pray he doesn't listen to the show because
not you
like
telling
I
on
want
yourself.
I will because I want him to understand I appreciate that and it was sweet and I'm not trying to talk mess, but like what I'm saying is like that to me was a pink flag. And I've been on 2 dates with you already, right? But, like, I'm not gonna know this off of 2 dates and us texting for a month. Like, I'm not gonna know that,
Right,
right?
right.
And so, like, you so like, and that's how I felt. That's what I felt, right? Like, this guy who I've met already who had, like, I've seen him, we like, kissed and stuff, like, if I don't know that already, I'm not gonna know that from a month of seeing you behind a fucking wall.
Right,
Like,
right.
girl, no.
Yeah.
That just isn't gonna work for me. Like that,
Mhm.
and that because one like love is hard, love is vulnerable, and I think my thing is I don't believe you can be fully vulnerable behind a
You
wall.
can't.
You cannot be
You
vulnerable
can't.
until you are with somebody in space with them.
Yeah.
Like you have to actually hold somebody to be vulnerable with them.
Yeah.
To an extent, like I think there's a level of vulnerability you can get, when you're talking to each other, but I think like n- how many online long distance relationships, right? Or people who are catfish, right? Like you're
Catfish.
vulnerable on a phone for a long
Yeah.
time, and if you ever meet them, you meet them in person, like things don't click because you're not vulnerable fully in the fullest way, and you
Right.
can't do that until you're with them. And so yeah, like, I think the show it builds like a fake sense of
It's a
safety for
false
people.
hope. Yep, that's what I was gonna
Yeah,
say. This show definitely builds a sense of false hope. And I was gonna say, I think, to my point, I think the biggest thing for me is like you don't know how this person operates and moves in their day to day. And you can
yeah.
find, and I'll say this, like I've met people online and I've said, "Oh my god, this person is so sweet. This person is so kind. I can't wait to meet them. They're so awesome. I can't wait to be friends with them or whatever." And then you meet them and you're just like let down. Like, "Oh, you're not the person or the persona that you put." And that's what I feel like folks are doing behind the wall. They're giving you a persona of who they are. You don't know
Yeah,
who this person really is. You don't know how they move. And then let's not even get into the idea that you're being rushed to get to know this person. Like you only have
yeah.
2 weeks to really get to know the thoughts and the and the world building that this person you're trying to
And the pressure
squeeze.
you got.
Yeah, you're trying to
Yeah,
squeeze a
yeah.
whole lifeline into 2 weeks. And so yeah, it definitely feels. So I'll ask this and then we can go ahead and skedaddle from this segment. I will say I know that one of the questions I have, so I've seen this question come up time and time again online, and I wanted to ask, like, there are so many people who are like, we need queer people on Love Is Blind. We need a Love Is Blind season that's focused on queer people. LGBTQ people need to be in the mix. I know that they did a queer ultimatum show, and I didn't watch it because I just truly, honestly, was not interested in the premise, and so I didn't care. But I did. I would love to ask you, or I would love to see what your thoughts would be on if they did a Love Is Blind for LGBTQ folks. I don't know how they would do it, right, to make it inclusive. I don't know how they would do it to make it work. Would they just put a whole bunch of queer people in a room and just say, "Hey, have a go at it"? Like,
Well,
I don't know,
so
but do you think the show would find the same success, or do you think it would be just as messy or
I think
messier?
depends on the queers because let's be honest. If it was like gay cis men, gay cis men fall in love of a torso pic. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. How, like a lot of people be falling for love of torso pics, and so I think I think it would be messier in a fun in a fun but also frustrating way. I think it depends on like the type of queer folks, right? Because like Queer Tomatum was a show that focused on queer women, I believe queer women and non-binary folks. And so I think that that like which I thought was a fantastic show. It was a perfect amount of like messiness, a perfect amount of like drama, a perfect amount of like really like meaningful discussion. Some was just like gross, right?
Yeah.
Then you know you have shows like Love Island. You have shows like I think it's like Are You the One, right? Where they
Uh-huh.
did have queer folks, but they were all people who all saw each other, right? They all like were living together, which is also a different thing too, right? People are then like that show takes people and they put them in the same house together. So I think like the whole setup of Love Is Blind,
Yeah.
I don't know if it would find the same success for queer folks, but I think it depends on the group of queer folks. I do think I think with gay cis men,
Mm.
in my experience I've had with gay cis men personally, I think it would look a lot different.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know if it would be as successful or in some like I don't think it'd be as successful. Well, actually, no. Let me look it back. Yeah, it just all depends because it's like are they gay cis white men? Are they gay cis are they like are they queer men of color? Like there's so many things. I do think there should be a show. Let me first say I do think there should be a show like this that is queer focused because I would be curious to see, right? Like we I think to be quite honest, like we actually don't know. Like I actually
Right.
don't know what
Right.
the answer is actually everything about it because that's not been done before, right? Like there actually is no sense of like and I mean and in some ways, actually in some ways when my mind is like in real time processing, like in some ways like in some ways it has happened because as queer folks, right, we have had to resort to chat rooms, resort to online things, right, to people.
Yeah.
So in some cases, like yes, there are people. Actually, it actually is probably a more uniquely queer experience in some ways to have met someone online
Mhm.
and talk with them forever and fall in love with them that way,
Yeah.
and then meet them, right? So I guess in some ways, like I think yeah, I mean like yeah, it's like it would be interesting. But I also think it'd be more messy, but like messy in a fun way. I think it'd be good TV because all these gays would go back to their like house with like you know with other groups of gays and just kick the entire time. And it
Girl.
would be
Yeah. Mhm.
girl,
Uh-huh.
I'm saying
Yeah.
like it would be like that would be silly and fun. So I think actually would be I think actually would be an interesting thing. And I think and actually as I say it more, I do think it actually might be more meaningful and deep
Could be.
because
Yeah. I agree. Mhm.
I think actually so yeah so let me redact my earlier
Not
judgments. I think
redact.
let me just redact my earlier judgments because I actually as I think about I think it actually would be more deep because I think there's a level and lens of vulnerability that we as queer folks would be able to access that I don't know if many cis straight men can access. Like I
No.
think sometimes
No.
a big part of Love Is Blind for me when I've seen it is that is that many times like many of the straight men can't access a full range of depth of
That's
emotions
real.
that it's and so and that is like conditioning of society and such and but like and there are women in the show who also can't do it either like
See, right. Yeah, a lot of them don't have it either.
like no one has the range
Right.
and so but I actually think and I think maybe why they don't have a queer show is because we have the range and and people want messy drama, and I think like we would get messy drama, but it like deep, meaningful messy drama, and people like no, like I want fights, I want blowouts, I want like scream matches, and like I don't think the queer folks are going to give it to us
Mm-mm.
like in that way,
Mm-mm.
which to me is great. Like I actually would love to see a more meaningful thing play out and not that. But I think the straights the straights
They
who
live for the
own
mess.
the
They live for
markets,
the
they want
drama.
the mess.
Yeah.
So I like to be a lot of manufactured mess in the
Mhm.
show.
A lot of
Exactly.
that's what it'd be like that's what the show in itself gives. And this is again, I want to make this very clear. We are not encouraging people to watch the show. I'm just simply saying that I know that I see it coming across my timeline a lot and there are a lot of people who engage the conversations around the show and so I wanted to just put a queer lens on it, right? And just really say like
Yeah.
is love truly blind? And let's be real. For a lot of queer people, yes, love has had to be blind because
Also,
mhm,
also, like, just through lens of ableism,
right.
like it's literally my okay, well, people who actually have vision impairment.
Yeah.
Like, that is just, like girl, it's just like I don't like it's just the whole setup is just like the whole setup is messy. I'm just like y'all asking
Boo, tomato, tomato,
tomato,
tomato.
tomato, tomato, tomato.
Yeah,
Exactly, exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
No, 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 no. I was just gonna say I was trying to leave it with something impactful in the idea of saying like I feel like over time, like, I mean, if you ask when people ask me all the time about how did me and Jonathan meet, we met online, right? Like before we knew that we had mutuals that could vouch for both of us to meet each other offline, we met online, and so I think that that's one of the things to keep in mind that a lot of queer couples when you start getting into like the real of like how did you meet and how did you connect? Like, if you were in the early 2000s or if you were in the early 2010s, and again, I talk a lot about this in my book, like the only way to find community was through online. And so you do find people like I have friends who have said, oh, I met my partner online and they lived in New York and I lived in California and then we just met in the middle and now we live in Chicago. Like those are the things that you hear in a lot of queer cases because again that's
Mhm.
the only way folks can find community or were able to find community back in the heyday. But I will say that I definitely think that there are a lot of issues with this show. And I know I'm part of the problem because I tune in every single season, regardless of what franchise it is, regardless of where it's happening. But what I will say is that this season there it's just the season you're definitely watching a lot of unwell people being put in a room together to try to find love with one another, and it's actually really sad to watch. So that's all I
Mm.
got on that. But anyway, yeah,
And
that's where I am with that.
well, for our parasocial girlies, we gotta take a break while y'all be convinced that that man loves you, even though he does not love you and never will love you. Okay, you
I thought
you
he
can't
loved me
change
in
him,
two
bestie.
weeks.
But
Mhm.
you can't change him, bestie.
Yeah,
But when we get back, we're gonna talk about audacity more in just a bit.
I know that's right. All right, and we are black. So we haven't done the Go Love Yourself segment in a minute. And so I was like, go ahead and run that back. And I figured
Yeah.
again, I this week I finally so quick. I'm gonna go ahead and pause real quick before we get into the segment. One thing I will say about writing a book that I didn't know that there were so many different how do I say this? There are so many different things that go into writing a book, and I can see why people don't
Mm,
after their
mm,
first one. They go, I'm never writing another book again because it's a lot of work. And when I first set out to say, oh, I'm going to write my first book, I genuinely just thought, oh, I'd write the book, I'd get notes on the book, and then the book would go to publishing. And that is not the case. And so I'm in my second round of notes with the book, and I just finished those up
mm,
this week. And it was interesting because the copywriter of the or the copy editor of the book, they had said that they wish that I would have put this word audacity into the title of my book instead of saying "and how to love yourself." It should have been "and
mm,
having audacity to love yourself." And I was like, oh my God, that was fantastic. And I wish I would have gotten that note 3 or 4 months ago. But all that to be said, you will find in one of my chapters, I talk about audacity. And so that's what I wanted to bring to this segment this week, because I think as we're talking about love and we're talking about love in so many different facets this week, right? So we talked earlier about love of
mhm,
self and talking about coming out. We talked about love in regards to like love being blind, and I know that word is so problematic, but finding love behind a wall or finding love for someone when you really don't know them and all of that. But now talking about love for ourselves, I wanted to bring up the word audacity because it was something I was challenged to explore and I actually had to add more notes to it as we were talking, as I was finishing up my book. And so this week I wanted to ask you, in part of LGBTQ History Month, I wanted to ask, how has audacity allowed you to love yourself in a radical way? And again, I also mentioned this in one of the chapters of my book. This is something that I think we talk a lot about on this show, but I don't think that we engage in the word audacity enough. And so I would love to hear your thoughts first, and then I'll tack on mine.
mm. So Audacity. So I mean, because I know it's been a while since we talked about Audacity. Like I know we did a whole episode about this probably like sometime last year, and so I think it's. I wonder for me if it's changed a bit, but the way we talk,
Okay.
we framed Audacity and we framed it more of like having the audacity to do X Y
Yeah.
Z, And so I think the question of how it allow me to love myself is different, and I love this dimension to it because I think I've reflected a lot about audacity, especially through like a lens of queerness. Like
Mm.
coming out is audacious in the first place,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
right? Like coming out is audacious to in the sense of I'm choosing to openly be who I am in a world that tells me who I am is worth death
Mm,
or is worth
mhm.
or like right with like or isn't holy or isn't right. And so I think like on that level, right? It's allowed me to love me because it's allowed me to do again, as I said earlier in this episode, like you can try and break me, but you won't because I know who I am and I love myself for it. I think also, and I was talking about this with a friend last night, like we were talking about the idea of dating and people telling us that like that we're intimidating and part of that intimidation that they have. And I realized it's not that we're intimidating, it's that people are intimidated by us, and that's
They're
not on
not the
us.
same. They're
And
not the
there's
same.
like we are intimidating people. Like the people are intimidated by us because, and one of the feedbacks we always get is because like we're so confident, right? Or we embrace ourselves. And I know that part of that comes down to you're confident in your bigger body that you shouldn't be
You're
confident
confident in your
in.
blackness.
In your blackness, you're like yes.
Mhm.
Like you're confident in your physical body, in your black body, in your fat body. Like
Mhm.
you're confident in these ways that you shouldn't, right? That we quote unquote should not be, and that makes them intimidated by us. And I think the audacity has allowed me to love me because again because I teach people how to love me when I love myself,
Amen.
and so I think like and it's like sometimes like it's hard sometimes like audacity isn't easy, right? Like I had the audacity to be vulnerable. I had the
Mhm.
audacity to like hold myself accountable to things. I had the audacity to have difficult conversations, right? Like how many people do you know in your life that truly walk away from challenging conversations? They cannot deal with their emotions,
Mhm.
or they cannot hold space for your emotions, and they walk away. They are avoidant. Like they're right. They're attachment style is avoidant. Whereas for my quizzes I've had, I have a secure attachment style. Some of my friends are like, "Are you sure?" Then we do the test. They get secure again. So I'm like, "Okay, so clearly, bitch, she's secure." But like, like I am because like
Mhm.
I don't avoid deep conversations. I will go the distance if I have to go the distance for
Amen.
something. And
Amen.
I think that right, and like, and that's an audition. That's an audacious thing to do. It's you have to have the audacity to say, "I'm willing to be uncomfortable right now." I love us enough to figure this out together.
Mm.
And so and the all relates to loving me because I know I deserve clarity. I deserve to give clarity. I deserve to have clarity. I deserve to show up for myself. I deserve to advocate for myself. I deserve for others to see me. I deserve to be seen, right? And I think through the lens of LGBTQ History Month, we wouldn't have a History Month for queer and trans
Right.
folks if people were
If
not
they were not
audacious.
audacious. Yep. Yep.
And so, right, and so I think I also see it as I live in a time where being myself is more allowed than it was for them to be them. And so
Mm.
I remember myself if they were able to do this against true danger,
Yeah.
like true danger. And I'm not saying that I'm not endangered, right? Like I know at the end of the day, leaving my house is still a decision that can put me in danger.
Right.
But I'm less likely to be in danger than I was 20 years ago, 30
Mm.
years ago, 40 X amount of time years ago.
Mhm.
And so if they have put their lives online to be who they are, so I can be who I am
Yeah.
today, then damn it, I'm going to be who I am today. So people after me can also do that with much less fear, much less danger, much less risk.
Come on, Boots. I just, you better bounce titties. No,
That's good.
I definitely yes. You better put that hand in
I
the
love
air,
I love that
bounce
that is gonna
titties.
be our thing to the Mountain City. That's gonna be our thing.
Yes, that's gonna be our thing. You better put your hand in the air, bounce titties. That's really what audacity is. It really is. You putting your hand in the air and you bouncing them titties. And if you haven't seen the meme, go find it. It's out there. But I love that you say all of that because I think, like you said, having this combo after we've had that combo a couple. I don't know if it was in like episode. It was around the episodes of 50 we talked about audacity, but really thinking about it, LGBTQ History Month, there would be no change. There would not be a History Month. There would not be a Pride Month. There wouldn't be Pride parades if people didn't have the audacity to say, wait, I'm going to take this space, I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure that I can be seen. And it's specifically even more for Black folks, right? For Black queer folks. I think about audacity a lot because even now in 2024, we're still having conversations about us as queer Black people not having the space, right? We're not given the opportunity to be our authentic selves or to celebrate our authentic selves the way that we want. We're oftentimes having to kind of regale to the ways that, whiteness and white supremacy and, there's another word that's fleeting from my mind right now, but the white gaze, that's what I was looking about. Not white
Mm.
gaze as GAY, them too, they part of the problem, but I'm talking about gays as in GAZE. And I always have to make sure I make that very clear because I've had people hit me and be like, well, what's wrong with the white gays? And I'm like, well, what's not wrong with them, child? But what I'm meaning is the white gaze, right? There's always a white gaze, GAZE, when we think about queerness. And so I think it is imperative for us to sometimes stop and say, how do we love ourselves audaciously outside of the lens of white supremacy and the way that white media
Mm.
tells us to celebrate ourselves, right? And oftentimes when we talk about like loving ourselves in terms of audacity and being, it's always this idea of like, I have to throw glitter everywhere that I go and I have to be the most. So we're currently watching a show right now called The Anonymous, and it's on Peacock. It's a it's another reality show. For folks who know us, me and my partner, we're huge on reality TV in our household. But the show is called The Anonymous, and there's a specific person on the show. And when they came onto the show, you can just tell that the producers are telling them to be extra for no reason. And
Mm.
and not to say that that doesn't bother me, not to say that that's the wrong way to be audacious, right? What I'm saying is that I believe, and the reason why I brought this up is that I feel like there has to be an element to audacity and loving yourself in a way that doesn't require you looking for approval from other people. And I think
Mhm.
that's for me is where when you really truly say, I want to go love myself the way I need to, when you say, I'm not going to, I don't have to perform, right? My queerness doesn't
Mhm.
have to be something that everyone is comfortable with. Me, again, a reflection of who I am, is a political act. And so I think audacity is in a lot of ways. And I wish that, again, I wish I had the space and the place to really kind of like dive more into it. But I feel like audacity really is a political statement. It is something that is so
Mhm.
political, and it's inherently political when you're Black and you're fat and you're femme, because you're initially saying, I know that the world already has it out for me. And no matter what you do, I'm still going to show up in my full self, regardless of how you feel about it. And so, um,
Mm.
yeah, that's just kind of where I am. I don't know. Yeah.
I love
Mhm.
I love this for us
Mhm.
so fucking much. I'm so thankful to be audacious with
Yes,
you whenever
girl.
we can.
Yes,
Like, it
yes.
means y'all, speaking of audacious, we gotta audaciously take a quick
We
break, or
do.
else we will or else we will become Mudang and Mudang, y'all. So
That's my
we'll be back.
baby.
Y'all grab a snack, we'll be back in just a sec.
All right, y'all. So this is perfect. We're getting ready to get into y'all segment, your favorite segment. This is Yes Ma'am, No Ma'am Pam. This is where we regale those that we love or we throw tomatoes. And with
Okay.
that being said, I definitely just want to say before I go into my Yes Ma'am, that Moodang. Have we taken a moment to just give Moodang some love on this show yet? I know we're late, but golly, like that little is it a hippo? She's a
I
hippopotamus,
think,
right?
yeah, a little
Oh,
baby
I'm a
hippo.
and so what's even cuter is that if you really look into Modang and the whole functionality of her family line, she has like a brother and a sister, and they're popular too. They are actually like Thailand, they turn
Aw.
out the stars when it comes down to the hippopotamuses. And so yes, if you have not had a chance, go look up the history and the family tree of Mudang, because her whole family, they're all celebrities in Thailand, and I love that for her. But anyway, yes, we are a podcast that supports the Mudang of it all. But
Yeah.
anyway, getting into some other good news, I'm gonna jump into my yes ma'am. My yes ma'am this week goes out is a shout out to, I hope that I'm not saying their name wrong, but if I am, blame it on my head and not my heart. Shout out to Diana Portillo. Is a woman, a trans woman who lived in Washington, D.C. She sued McDonald's and she won, girl, won 930,000 dole heads. That's a lot of
Ew,
money. That means that
that's a
she
lot of
quit her job,
money.
but she sued a McDonald's franchise because she was discriminated and harassed as a trans woman there. And I think that she said she's in the article that I read, it said that the discrimination and the harassment started as soon as she started the job. And and I know a lot of people probably read the article and or had read the article and was like, well, then why didn't she quit? Why didn't she go somewhere else? I think it's imperative to understand that a lot of trans people, even non-binary people, right, when we get jobs, it's hard for us to get work. And so when Diana got this job, in her mind, she probably was thinking, I, I've been on every interview you can name. I've done everything that I could do. I'm just going to suck it up and I'm going to work and I'm going to do what I got to do to
Mm,
pay these bills. But for her to turn around and get that money to be able to say, y'all tried to fuck me over, and so I'm gonna go ahead and sue y'all and I'm gonna win.
mm.
Shout out to her. She stood on business with that one. She did her big one. I'm happy for her. I
Period.
hope that she's able to take that money, flip it into something bigger with it. Um, and yeah, just shout out to people who are working in workplaces where they know that they're being treated unfairly because of who they are, and they are again being audacious enough to step up and say, y'all not gonna get me this time around, child."
Mm,
So definitely sending love to Diana, and just again very happy for her, and knowing that she was able to get what she deserved after she went through what she went through. So all that to be said, yeah, there's more of it. I think I actually got it from the Out. It was the NBC Out
mm.
page. They
Oh,
have the story if you actually want to go read the story, and I'll put the story in the description box as well. Next, my No Man Pam this week. So, a Pennsylvania middle school has installed a surveillance window in their gender inclusive bathrooms, and
what's the surveillance window?
why are we still here? Like, it is like we've been going back and forth about these bathrooms and bathroom bills and all this bathroom shit, and it's like I just want to okay, so please stop me if I'm wrong, but when I was in high school, nobody was fucking in the bathrooms because the bathrooms were nasty, right? Nobody cleaned them. Nobody. So I don't understand. I don't understand, bitch. I don't understand. I don't understand. Like I just don't understand what is cishet people's obsession with queer people in restrooms. Like that's what it's giving. It's giving obsessed now. And it's like, doll, honey, like why? Like why do you care about what I'm doing in the bathroom? Nobody is fucking in the bathroom. I mean, some of the gays are, and I'm not here to shame them because some dolls like dirty restrooms. That is a thing. That is a kink. And I love that for them. But what I'm saying is that when I was in high school, nobody was ever using those bathrooms. They were nasty. So I'm just saying, like, my big point that I make in saying, like, I'm just tired of like leave it alone. Like, girl,
Yeah.
it's old now.
Surveillance is a weird thing. I'm like, y'all, which is interesting because they come often from like conservative groups.
Hmm.
And I'm like, so you fight for you claim that you want the liberty, which is freedom, but you fight for more surveillance of other people.
T.
So like just one, make it make sense. And then two, like I just it's just
It's old.
I like maybe let's try a different tactic. Like let's try not shaming because we know that shaming will make people do more things.
Right.
Like
Right.
what might it look like to like say we actually don't care we actually don't care what happens and we'll educate you on how to be safe. Like all I know for example is that growing up my parents were like, listen, Jordan, we don't want you to do drugs. And if you want to do drugs, tell us, we can get them for you.
Right.
Right. And that made me not want to do
Right.
drugs.
Right.
Versus if my parents were like, don't do drugs, what would I have done? That many kids in my school did
Yep.
drugs. Like like we just tried not de-shaming these things for our youth and teach them if you're gonna do these things, here are ways to be safe with doing them.
And
They most likely will probably not
yep.
and teach them like these are the consequences that might happen if you do these things as
Mhm.
well too.
Mhm.
Right? Like yes, like give boundaries, give containers, give rules, but like stop monitoring every moment and every breath because it ain't gonna make them like in any dystopian thing you've seen, when you start to control people, what do they do? They revolt and they fight back.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it's just wild.
Yeah,
Like,
and
oh
what you're
my god,
talking about too, before I pass it over to you, is you're talking about harm reduction, and I only
yes,
learned about that working in nonprofit spaces, right? Harm reduction is,
yeah,
and for years before even I knew what harm reduction was, I definitely I called it the gum theory, right? So do you remember when you were in high school when the teacher was like, no gum, no gum, no gum, you can't have any gum? What was people doing? People were figuring out every single way to chew gum. They want
yeah,
every class, they were figuring out how to chew it, how to not look like they're chewing gum, how to pass gum throughout the hallways without the teachers figuring it out. But then when you get to college, it's kind of like I don't give a damn if you chew gum in class. Like,
yeah,
long as you
girl.
taking
Like,
notes, bitch. Like it, and what?
like,
You don't even care if you're
yeah,
chewing gum or not. Like it
yeah.
doesn't become a thing
Like,
to you.
you want me an asshole and put it, like, you want me an asshole and put it on the desk, girl,
Right.
the garbage can is right there.
Right.
Like, if I see your desk have gum, bitch, I'll make you clean it off.
Right.
But like,
No one
do
cares.
what you gotta do. Like, no one give you chew gum, girl.
Yeah.
Like, just don't be an asshole in my life.
Right. And so that's the thing I think about it. It's like the more that you try to surveil someone, the more that you try to put pressure on them to quote unquote not do something, all you're going to get is more of that. And so but again, at the
Yeah,
end of the day, queer people need to stop being surveilled in all facets, right? But
yeah,
specifically, bathrooms. Like, leave us alone. Pee where you need to pee, poop where you need to poop. Everybody does it. Leave us alone. Like, that's literally what it comes down to. That was just my point
yeah.
that I wanted to make. Like, I
I
put in my
feel that.
notes, get a fucking life. Like, we're over it.
Period.
Please get over it. So, yeah.
Period.
What about you?
So my yes ma'am honestly is just gonna be it's going to be to us because like this year we've done some big things, right? Like last week, right? This time last week we had just record Kid Fury. We
Yeah.
dropped it as well for folks who haven't seen it. We drop episode by the time this episode comes out. Last week's episode was what was with Kid Fury, and like that was a momentous occasion for us. That
Yeah.
was like incredible and amazing. Like, so someone that we've wanted since day one on the show, who came on the show, and we got to meet him in person.
Yeah.
That was so dope. If y'all haven't seen it yet, we were featured on Angelica Ross's show, Now An Opportunity Wasted, which also dropped last Monday. So like, wow, like what a big week for us, like podcast wise, and like just what a big year for us. Like, this year's been a wild year for us in our lives. I
I
was
know.
like, are you snapping or telling me to turn down? I
No,
was
no,
like,
no. I'm
this has been
snapping.
a big year for us in our lives,
Yeah.
and we have been fucking doing it. Like,
Every
you and I have been
week.
traveling everywhere. Like, girl, like we have been doing so much, and so like, yeah, so like, give it. I want yes, ma'am, and Pam to us. Give it to ourselves for
Amen.
doing this.
I'll
Like,
take
we
it.
have really done the damn thing, and we have done it all while being stressed as fuck, tired as hell,
Writing
and still
books,
looking for the
moving. Yes,
Ryan book,
girl.
bitch. Okay, Ryan books, the
Uh
moving.
huh.
Okay, out here the game shit published. Like, look at us. So
We're doing it.
yes, God, to us, go off us. But no, man, Pam, is just for the influencers who have stayed in the hurricane. Is it Helene and
I
Milton?
can't.
Is it Helene? Y'all are wild. Okay, so it's just Milton, but there are influencers who have been staying in the evacuation zones, mandatory evacuation zones, right?
Just to get
For the
content.
content, and I just
I want to be surprised, but I'm not.
but it's a wild world in which people are like, "Oh, I love that you're staying there." Like, what? If someone that I follow is like is doing some shit, I would literally comment,
Unfollow.
"Girl,
Yes.
girl,
Immediate.
please be safe. Get yourself, like, it is actually not worth it, right?" And some people are like, I'm I'm being a journalist.
No, you're not.
I'm documenting destruction."
Mm-mm.
Girl,
No.
we see on the news. You don't need to document destruction, girl. Like, get the fuck
You are not
out.
Anderson Cooper, girl.
Don't harm yourself. Okay, you don't have the infrastructure to do that. Like, girl, get a drone. Call that a good damn day, but get yourself out of this place. Like, what are you doing? It's just,
And I was even,
it's
can
bad.
I,
It's
not to
sad.
cut you off, but like, why was Anderson Cooper there? Like, I understand, but I don't at the same time.
This is why I would never work hard news. You will not have me out in a hurricane or natural disaster
Why
during the
was he
no,
there?
no. Like, for example, I was watching one of my favorite shows, not 911. This is on firefighters. An episode, the Texas version. There was the whole, like, there was a whole train that derailed, and there's gas leaking, and there's a news crew that was told to evacuate, and they decided to go. Into they're like, no, like, this is a great chance to get our scoop. And what happened? the anchor girl died because she got hit by chlorine
Of
gas and her
course.
face
Of
melted off.
course.
And it's like, girl, like that is a really real that's a really real possibility. Like
Amen.
it's not
Yes,
worth it.
it is.
I'm so sorry, but if shit happens, you get one post from me saying I'm evacuating y'all. Pray I live. I will see you
I will
soon.
see you
Like
on the other
do not
side.
right like do not and also and I wonder if people are doing it because they see how folks have like they see like folks like how the folks have been doing it in Gaza. And one really really clear that is a different
It
situation.
is
That is entirely
very
different. Like
different.
those are people who are being forced to live in a place that is endangering them,
Right.
and they are documenting their lives. That is a whole different experience than you choosing to stay in a place that you have every opportunity and ability to get the fuck out of, and choosing to be the document. Like you are not the same. Please stop that.
And let's also be
Please stop
clear
that.
too that I feel like this is also a big slap in the face to the people who can't get out of there, because there were
Exactly.
people who were saying
Yes.
in Florida, like,
And like, please help me get out and
right,
please help me get to safety.
yeah,
And people are like, no, it's just no,
it is.
yeah,
It's very so very much to the
it's
people
not
who
cute.
are out there doing stupid shit, especially in a time when people are saying I cannot get out because there are no hotels. I can't afford to stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
I don't have a car. I don't have the money to fly. If I am trying to fly out, the prices are so high. And also, you know what? That could be another big no man Pam to all of these companies that are literally price
Okay.
gouging people in times of and we see it here in California too, like when fires start or when we've had mudslides or we've had situations where there were fires and then there was a mudslide. We've seen people do the price gouging. We have seen people do things. And it's just to these big money companies that are doing all of this shit. Fuck y'all. Like, fuck capitalism. Fuck people who
Mhm.
continue to do really shitty things,
Mhm.
especially in a time when you know people are going through so much dire emotions in their lived experience because of what's happening around them. So
Okay.
just it's so stupid, but I appreciate you mentioning it. And yeah, I definitely wish that we were better as a people. It is what it is. Anyway, with that being said, please send us your thoughts, feedback, and email to blackfatfempod@gmail.com. We love getting messages. Please send us more. You can also send us your thoughts via social media. We'd prefer them via email, but you can also send them to us via social media by interacting with our post on Instagram and Twitter by using the handle at BlackFatFemPod. You can also head over down to the YouTubes, honey. And I can't stress this enough because a lot of the girlies, they put their social and digital content that you can watch behind a paywall. We don't do that. So head down to YouTube and subscribe, leave comments, watch. You can watch our video with Kid Fury. You can watch the video with Amber Ruffin.
Okay.
You can watch the
Okay.
videos with quite a few people. We have Lacey Mosley.
Okay.
We've had a lot of
Mhm.
really cool guests, and so go down there and watch that video. Anyway, with that being said, Queen Joho, where can the dolls find you?
Of course, my babies, you can find me at Jeho Daniels across all socials. If not, JordanDaniels.com. If not there, you'll find me do some wishes brew to find internal youth because I don't want to age past 30. No, I'm kidding. Aging is fine. I love aging. I'm here for it. I embrace my aging. I mean, if not there, you will find me trying to understand where Kamala keeps her Glock. I will be really clear. I hate guns. I do not like guns at all. But Kamala keeps referencing her Glock. I just want to know, girl, where's this Glock? Like, what?
Where do you
Also,
keep it? Yeah.
but I was like, stop, like, just stop. Like, it's not making you relatable or fun. Like, it's a bit interesting to me when she talks about it. But I also am like here for the Kiki of it all because I'm like, it is also a Kiki that she says it. So I'm like,
I know why she
I'm
does
just
it
supposed
though. Yeah, she's trying to respond to the people who are like, "Oh, Kamala's gonna take our guns," and I think Kamala's trying to play the whole game of, "Well, I
I
have
have
a
one.
gun
Yeah,
too, so why would I want to take yours when I got my own?" So I understand what she's doing, but
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
not landing the way I think she thinks it's landing.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
gonna
It's like
vote
I'm
for her
like,
though. Um, still gonna vote for her. I don't care what nobody says. I'm still gonna vote for her. But all that to be said, I totally understand what you're saying. Yes, and I really do too. I too wish that we could get past this whole gun conversation because also that is old. But yeah, as for me and you gonna catch my ass laying down somewhere because as you all can tell, I'm still a little under the weather. I don't know what it is. I have tested for COVID. It is not COVID, so I don't know if it's a sinus infection. I don't know if it's a cold. I don't know what it is, but it's got its hold on me. But you can also head over down to www.drjohnpaul.com while I'm resting, and you can click on that book tab and pre-order my book. Other than that, when I start to feel a little bit better, I will be shaking my ass for Kamala and reminding y'all to register to vote. We are literally days away from the election. I think we're somewhere in, like, by the time this premieres today, because we're recording on the weekend, Today it's like, I think it's like day 25, but by the time you hear this, it'll be like day 23. So please go, like if you are not, if you don't know your registration status, check and find out. And if you've gotten your mail-in ballots, what I plan to do today is fill mine out and turn it in. But yes, we've got to vote, baby. Vote like your life depends on it, because it does. All right. That being said, we want to thank our producer, Bay Wang, for handling all the logistics. And I also just want to say real quick, I want to give a shout out to Bay, because Bay Wang is doing the damn thing, from just everything that they have done
Okay.
for our show, everything they've done in logistics to get people
She a
on the show.
producer.
Bay works their ass off. And so I just want to say I'm so grateful to have a producer that I absolutely love and adore. They handle everything and they handle it so well. We also want to thank everyone over at iHeartMedia who continues to keep showing up for us and supporting the show and keeping this show running. We also want to shout out our wonderful editor who we are so happy to have back, Chris Rogers. It is so warm to just, and it's really nice to be able to know that we can reach out to you as we're
We love
trying to
you.
figure stuff out, because we know without you there'd be no show. All right, y'all. Well, we did it. We did it, y'all. We did it, y'all. We got through another episode. Stay black, fat, femme, and fabulous. And remember that it ain't what they call you, it's what you answer to. I love us for real.
Bye.
Bye.